Hello, everybody. My name is Bunny Gupta. In today's session, we are going to discuss important tips and tricks to solve a reading comprehension passage. So, reading comprehension is not something which is new to any student. We have been solving passages since our school days. So, it's no rocket science to solve a passage. The biggest challenge that we generally face while solving a passage is the time management. If you're good at it, you can easily excel this topic. What happens when you are sitting at a competitive exam? You need to do a lot of sections. So you can't devote a lot of time to a single question. So there comes the role of time management. You need to do the passage quickly, and at the same time, you have to do it correctly also. So with good practice, you can easily excel this topic. So basically in today's session, I am going to discuss some important tips which will help you in attempting a reading comprehension passage in the SEBI as well as CLAT exam. So we are going to discuss in details. So if you will follow these tips, most probably you will be able to excel this topic. Okay, so let's read it. Tips to solve a reading comprehension passage. First, read the passage at a comfortable speed. RC is not a speed reading contest. Do not skip words. In fact, speed reading works negatively because you have to read the passage again to understand the bits you didn't comprehend. Don't try and memorize each and every part of the passage. Just try and understand the essence of the point being conveyed by the author. So the very first point, and a very, very important point, is please don't rush. You don't have to catch a train or a flight. Read the passage at a comfortable speed, meaning it's important to read quickly, but at the same time, you should understand that what the passage is trying to tell, what the narrator is trying to tell. You should know, you should be able to extract the meaning, the main theme of the passage. What happens that because we are so tense when we are giving some exam, we tend to think, yaar, jaldi sab karna hai. But what happens is you read very quickly and then you don't understand a single word. You don't understand that what is the theme. You completely forget everything. And to compensate that, you have to read the entire passage once again. So this leads to wastage of time, which we can't afford at that delicate hour. Secondly, don't memorize the passage. It's not required. Just understand. Basically, reading comprehensions are given in competitive exams to check, to test your understanding ability. That how well are you able to grab the passage, extract the meaning from the passage. So don't memorize it. Only try to know what is the main idea, what is the main theme of the passage. All right. So this is a very important topic. Please keep in mind. The second is summarize the contents of each paragraph in your own words. Try to identify the main points in the paragraph and write them down in your own words. So the second thing is, when you are going through a passage, just remember that what are the main points, what are the highlights. Because if you'll keep these things in mind, when you'll see the questions, it will be easy for you to mark. It will be easy for you to find that which question belongs to which answer belongs to which question. So just keep in your mind the words, the points, the main points, the highlights. It will eventually help to save your time. Okay. The third point is, it is also again very important. Opening and closing paragraphs require extra focus. Questions such as the main idea questions are based on the overall subject of the passage. And majority of the times, the answer for this question type lies in the first and the last paragraph of the passage. Ensure you derive the maximum possible information from these paragraphs. So now we are talking about the opening and the closing paragraphs. Initially, what you will see, it's most probably 90% of the passages, the initial lines, the opening lines, and the closing lines contain the main idea of the passage. So in the exams, you generally get questions like this. What is the central theme of the passage? What is the main idea of the passage? What is the main point of the passage? What are you able to extract from the passage? So basically, the answer of these questions generally you find in the opening and closing paragraphs. So when you are reading the opening and closing lines, just pay a little more attention. Maybe you will get answer of these questions of central idea, main theme from these paragraphs itself. Okay. Now, the next is answer the questions by eliminating the wrong options. Read the options carefully and eliminate the ones which are out of scope or don't answer the question. Okay. So what happens is a lot of options are given, 4 or 5 options are given to us. So the options which you think are definitely wrong, they are not from the passage, it is not mentioned in the passage, it is completely irrelevant. Don't waste your time on thinking about it. Just eliminate them and focus on the options which you think can probably be the answer. Okay, so this is a very important point, because what happens is at times the options are so confusing, or you think yaar ye bhi to ho sakta hai, but if something is not in the passage and which is completely irrelevant, just eliminate it and don't waste your time on that. Okay, the next is improve your vocabulary. Vocabulary means knowledge of words, meaning of words. If you do not have a good vocabulary, you have to stop at every new word in the reading comprehension and be puzzled what does it mean. So when you don't know the meaning of a word, it becomes very difficult to understand the gist of the comprehension. Having a good vocabulary makes you understand the reading comprehension much easier. So students, vocabulary is something, whether you are giving a competitive exam or you are not giving it, it is very important to have a good vocabulary. For your future also, for your life also, as this is the only means you communicate with others. So it is important to have a good vocabulary. Now, what is vocabulary? Knowledge of words, new words, that is vocabulary. So this is not something that you'll gain in one day. This will happen eventually. People build their vocabulary eventually. Now, I'll tell you how does vocabulary play an important role when we are solving a comprehension passage. So what happens? Supposedly, I have got one question, okay, and I'm going through that passage, and there are 1 or 2, 3 words I'm getting stuck at. I don't know their meanings. So what we'll do now? General, because when you are sitting at the exam, you'll get puzzled. Oh God, iska to pata hi nahi hai answer. Pata nahi iska kya ho sakta hai. So to avoid these things, okay, so to avoid these things, it is important that you should have a good vocabulary so that you don't get stuck in between the lines. You can do the passage easily. So at least work on it. Vocabulary building is very, very important for, I think, every field. So now, how can you improve your vocabulary? Let's see. How to improve your vocabulary? Start reading in English, anything, newspapers, stories, comics, textbooks, anything that keeps you immersed in English. New words gradually sink into your subconscious mind and become familiar. So the first thing, my suggestion is, the way you can improve your vocabulary is read anything in English. See, the editorials of Hindu newspaper are extremely good. Just make it a point that you have to read 1 or 2 editorials every day. What happens when you start reading, there will be words which will be new to you, or you're not able to know their meanings. So just write down those words, try to find their meanings, and this will eventually help you. And plus, second benefit, it will increase your journal knowledge because they are full of knowledge. And the second thing is, It will improve your English also. So it's very important. What happens is when you read a passage or when you read an editorial, and if you find news boring, then it's not the thing. It's not a compulsory thing. Read comics, read stories. Some people are interested in fiction. Some people are interested in thriller books. Some like action books. So anything which keep you engrossed in English, please read that, because it will help you immensely, because you will come across some new words, and when you will find their meanings, it will subconsciously be saved in your mind, which will help you, I don't know, at any point of life. So reading is very important. There is no shortcut to reading. English language is completely based on reading. Reading has got endless benefits, endless. Actually, what happens is reading is a skill which generally we people take it for granted, and which is not correct. It's very important to read. Once you will read, you won't imagine the amount of benefits you will get. Okay, the second point is keep a notebook, note down the new words you learned today and revise them periodically. So one way is that when you are reading a storybook or a novel or a newspaper, just make a notebook. Write those. For example, I read an article today. Okay, and in that article there were 10 words which I am not familiar about. I'm going to write those 10 words along with their meanings. Now the second thing is कि yes, I don't remember. आज मैं भी लिख रही हूँ, अभी याद है, हो सकता है मैं कल तक भूल जाऊं. This is completely normal. We are humans. ऐसे ही होता है. But what we can do is write it today. Maybe make it a practice that, for example, every Sunday you have to go through these words. Once or twice, if you'll go through these words, so whenever you will get these words in your life, whether in the form of exams or anywhere, it will not be a new word to you. You will be already familiar with that word. So that is why it's very important. Make a notebook, write down the new words, and revise them at least once a week. It will help you immensely. Start trying it. The next is keep a target and a schedule to learn a certain number of new words every day. Do not deviate from the schedule at any cost. And make it a habit. For example, according to your time, according to the way you have devoted time to every subject, just make it a habit. For example, you have to learn 5 words every day. You want to learn 10 words every day. Just write down those 5 words or 10 words. Okay. What will happen at the end of a month? If you are writing 10 words every day, at the end of the month, you will learn 300 new words, which is very much, which is a lot. We have time. We can build a very good vocabulary like this. So make it a habit. Start doing it. Okay. The next is, do not think the correct option would come from outside the passage. Any of the option that is out of scope is never the correct answer. The right answer is always based on the information given in the passage. Do not focus on any of the options that distract you from the passage. So always remember that the correct answer will be from the passage itself. Something which is written outside the passage or which is not mentioned in the passage can never be the answer. Always remember that. Those options are basically given to confuse you, to check that how well are you able to comprehend the passage, how well are you able to extract its meaning. So just to create confusion, they are given in the exam paper. The correct answer will always be from the passage itself. So always keep always keep this thing in mind. Okay. Now the next 7th point is, most reading comprehensions are complex. Usually, reading comprehensions are taken from scientific essays or well-known fiction. Often the sentences are complex to understand. If you are not aware of this fact, you might be puzzled by those questions. Solution, improve your vocabulary, read and solve comprehensions as many as possible, solve passages from different fields of knowledge like science, arts, literature, politics, economics, etc. So all the passages are not very easy. They are like, it's not a cakewalk, not every passage. Some passages are little complex because the passages which are political or maybe scientific in their genre, they are little tricky to solve. They have often got complex sentence. Again, they have got complex words. For this complex word, you need to have a good vocabulary again. So building vocabulary, reading newspapers. Again, I'm focusing on reading editorials of Hindu newspaper. It will help you immensely because if you'll know the meaning of 90% words, you'll be able to comprehend the meaning of the article or the blog. So it's very important. So the basic way to solve complex passages is do a lot of reading and solve a lot of papers, solve a lot of passages from science, arts, literature, so that you are not so that these topics are not new for you. You can grow quite familiar with them, and also you can easily solve them. So practice as many passages. If you are weak in literature, try to solve at least one passage every day of literature, so that you are not so that if it comes in the exam, if it comes in the competitive exam, it is not a horror to you. You can easily do it. So it's again very important. There is one more way of improving your vocabulary. I have made very small 10 minutes video on YouTube. You can search by the name of Bunny Gupta. There are words, difficult words. The words are from the editorials of Hindu newspaper with their meanings and sentences. It will hardly take you 5 to 10 minutes. If you want, you can go through these videos. If you don't have time to write everything, or you don't have time and you're not able to do it, so you can even watch those videos. By watching those videos, you can write it in your notebook and then revise periodically or revise once a week. Even by that way, you can improve your vocabulary. Okay, the next point is improve reading speed. Do not move your lips while reading. It slows you down. Reading comprehension requires you to be smart, and smartness comes from practice. Developing daily reading habit will help you enhance your reading speed and comprehending the passage quickly. Daily reading and practicing will help you score well. So it is a trick which we don't notice. If you will do not move your lips while reading, it slows you down. If you read very loudly, you'll get tired and you'll be slow. But if you'll read in your mind, you will read quickly and you'll be able to understand the meaning. Okay, so develop a habit of reading. You have to develop a habit of reading if you want to excel, at least in the English language section, because this section is all about reading and practice. Because the more you will read, the more you will be aware of the passages. You will be able to read quickly, and if you will be able to read quickly, even you will be able to comprehend, to extract the meaning of the passage also quickly. So it's very important. Develop a reading habit. What will happen first day? For example, today you have started reading one passage, or you are solving a passage. Maybe today it will take 20 minutes or maybe 30 minutes for a single passage. Maybe 1 week you are trying every day, it will take 30 minutes. But ek hafte baad, eventually that 30 minutes will come down to 20 minutes. 20 minutes lagenge wahi ek passage karne ke liye. Eventually, when you'll keep practicing, then it will take just 10 minutes, then 5 minutes. So this is a gradual process. Nothing is sudden. Ek din mein kuch bhi nahi hota. You have to make it a practice. Eventually, slowly, gradually, you will be able to solve one passage quite nicely in 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. Now the next is try to preempt questions. This is a really difficult skill, but if you can master this, you will surely be the king. It is not by, it's be. You will surely be the king of reading comprehensions. While reading the passage, try to identify the possible questions that could be asked and which parts of the passage seem the most likely candidates for question setting. So this is something that if you, this is something which you can do it only if you are good at this section. What is it? आप एक passage read कर रहे हो, and while reading it, you are forming questions in your mind. Without seeing the questions, you're forming questions in your mind कि ऐसा ये question भी पूछा जा सकता है. Even this can be asked. Even this is the main idea. So if there will be main idea, if the question is what is the main idea of the passage, you know where you have to find the answer. So this is a technique which you can achieve only when you have practiced enough. Okay. The next is, while solving reading comprehension at home, don't try to find the meaning of each and every word you find there with a dictionary. Sometimes you need to make a wild guess about a new word, taking into account of the context situation. By this, you'll be able to understand the meaning of new words. If you feel necessary, you may check the meaning after reading the comprehension. So now comes a situation in which you have read enough. But that doesn't mean you don't read and you don't improve your vocabulary. Supposedly, we have done everything to improve our vocabulary. Still, we get stuck in one or two words. Then what to do? Then it's not a wise thing to just waste your time on one single word. According to the line, according to the situation, try to find the meaning of that word and proceed, and accordingly give the answer. After that, if you want, you can check the meaning in the dictionary. But sometimes when after reading also, you're not able to find the meaning of a particular word, don't stick at it, because it is surely a waste of time. Just try to find its meaning according to the context, according to the situation, and do it, and do the passage. Okay. Now, these were the points, but now we are going to do the mistakes which students often commit, which often happen. Not engaging with the passage. People treat reading RC passage similar to reading an article in the newspaper. Because of this, by the time he or she reaches the end of the passage, he or she has forgotten what was at the beginning of the passage. Instead, try and actively engage with the contents of the passage. So this is one very big problem which happens with a lot of people, with a lot of aspirants, that you're reading the passage, you're reading it so quickly that by the time you finish the passage, you'll forget that what happened in the beginning. What was that? Waste of time. Your 5 minutes or maybe your 10 minutes just got wasted. So read at a comfortable speed. Again, the very first point. Read at a very comfortable speed so that you can know what the narrator is trying to say. You should comprehend the basic meaning of the passage. So it's important to engage in the passage so that you don't forget that what happened in between or in the middle or in the beginning. So it's important. Don't rush. Whatever you read, you have to read it properly. Okay, so this is the thing. Second is not reading the options properly. A lot of times, people comprehend the text completely and yet make one or two mistakes per RC. The problem is in not reading the options carefully. A usual trick is to pick words straight from the passage and insert an additional word which totally negates the meaning of those words. People who misses the additional word end up making the wrong answer. So what happens a lot of times, I think we all have faced this issue in our life, sometime or the other, that we have understood the comprehension very nicely. We are able to find its meaning. We know each and every word. Everything is perfect. Still, we are making mistakes. Still, per RC, we are making mistakes. We are making one or two mistakes. Now, what is the problem? The problem is we are not reading our options carefully. So this is a basic trick of a paper setter, that they'll just pick words from the passage, add an additional word to it, which will completely change the meaning of that word. People, what we students do, because we are in a hurry, we will just see the word, oh yes, this is in the passage. I'm sure this is the correct answer. So that is the problem. You need to understand what the line is, what is the meaning of that line now after the additional word. So be very careful. If You need to read all the options very carefully, because a lot of time the options are so similar that it becomes really confusing to choose between the correct options. So please read it very, very nicely, very properly, at least read twice, so that you don't end up making a mistake. The next is not reviewing the RCs properly. Always review the passage again and understand why the option you picked is wrong. Is it because of improper comprehension, or is it because of a careless mistake? Be sure to review all wrong options to understand why those options are incorrect. So even this is something which is very common. What we do, we solve a lot of passages. I'm sure today a lot of you will practice a reading comprehension passage. So in a reading comprehension passage, if you make a mistake, it is important that you go through that mistake, that why you made it. Is this some error in understanding the passage, or it is merely a silly mistake? A lot of times people don't evaluate their mistakes. You need to go through your mistakes so that you don't repeat them at the examination hall. So, which is very important. If you are doing something wrong, recheck it, reevaluate it, that why it happened, so that you don't repeat this mistake again. Okay, so these were the tips, basic tips, which are important when you need to solve a reading comprehension passage. Now we are going to do a passage. I'm going to explain it to you, read out to you. Then together we can work out the questions. Okay, let's start. It's a very basic, as this is our first class, this is a very easy passage. I'm sure all of you will be able to do it. Ma always had a rough time in Dad's house. He, an undersecretary in the civil service, thought he had married beneath his position and treated Ma with the contempt he felt she deserved, an opinion shared by the rest of his family as well. So the narrator's mother always had a very bad time in her dad's house. The narrator's father was an undersecretary in the civil service who used to treat her mother very badly, because he used to think that her mother is useless, worthless, and he had married beneath his position. So basically the meaning of contempt is you're making someone feel that he is worthless, useless, is not good at anything. So this was the situation. As year after year passed by without any sign of a child being born into the family, Ma began to lose hope of regaining any respect or status within her husband's household. So a lot of years passed and she was not able to conceive. What happened then? She just lost all hope. Nobody used to give her respect. She had a very bad status. Nobody used to talk to her properly. She had a very bad time. The inevitable followed. She was ordered around, overworked, underfed, and often beaten. She would regularly be ill. It seemed they were waiting to see the end of her. And when she hesitantly told Dad she was expecting, no one seemed too enthusiastic or happy. So what happened, as she was not able to give child to the family, she was being very badly treated. Everybody used to tell her work. She was given a lot of work. She overworked. She was not given proper food to eat. She was often beaten by the family members. So what happened? She was ill. But one day, when she hesitantly told the narrator's dad that she was with child, there was no excitement, no enthusiasm in the family. Everything was very normal. The delivery was difficult. My birth was premature. When they learned that the child was a girl, they stopped coming to the hospital. So because you have such a bad atmosphere in the family, the delivery was very difficult. The narrator's mother had a very difficult delivery. She gave birth to a premature child. So when the narrator's father's family, parental family, learned that she gave birth to a girl child, they stopped coming to the hospital. Ma died a week later They wanted nothing to do with me. An ugly runt of a girl with shriveled up skin, fit only to follow her, no good stubborn mother out of this world. So they were not interested in the child anymore because narrator's mother gave birth to a child. For them, she was an ugly runt, means she was a weak. Runt means weak. Somebody who's weak. An ugly, weak girl, which is undernourished, which is very weak, who is better, which is better that if she dies, they were least interested. She lives or dies, they were not interested at all. They were only too happy to let Masi take me off their hands and away to her ancestral home in a small coastal Konkan village, Parvi, where she lived with my grandmother, her mother, Aji. So they were very happy when the narrator's Masi, means mother's sister, took her to their ancestral home, which was located in a small coastal, located in a small coastal Konkan village named Parvi. There, the author's Masi lived with her grandmother, her mother Aji. The village doctor shook his head sadly on looking at me, but Masi was as adamant as a sister had been. So when the village doctor came to check the little child, the village doctor was very disappointed. He was not happy with the condition of the child. But the writer's Masi was very adamant. She was firm-headed, as the narrator's mother had been. In that house, I was reared purely on Masi's grit and Aji's determination and loving care, as they nursed me with ragi extract, diluted cow's milk, soft hand-pounded rice, and coconut. So in that house, she was brought up purely on Masi's grit, means courage. Masi's courage and Aji's determination. They used to feed her with ragi extract, cow milk, everything to give her protein, to make her grow strong, to give her strength. She used to get rice, coconut. Day after day, they labored. As the baby, they fed me the ragi extract mixed with diluted milk and the starch water from boiled rice. A little older, and they made ragi porridge, then ragi bakri, laddus, sevai, and a miracle took place. Masi and Aji watched me grow from strength to strength. So they used to take care of her a lot. They used to feed her with good, nutritious food. They used to give her diluted milk, starch water from boiled rice, because it's very nutritious. So when she was a little older, they used to give her porridge, ragi rotis, laddu, sevai, and day to day she grew stronger and stronger. Now I am 25, a foot taller than Masi, and completing my postgraduate studies in medicine. Now the writer is 25 years old. She is hale and hearty. There is no problem. She is a foot taller than her Masi, and she has completed her post-graduation studies in medicine. Okay, now so this passage was extracted with edits and revisions from Ragi Ragini, Chronicles from Aji's Kitchen by Anjali Purohit. Now it's time to do the questions. You are free to write the answers in the chat box. Why, according to the author, did her father treat her mother with contempt? A option, because she had given birth to a daughter, because she was regularly ill, because he felt he had married beneath his position, because she was not a good cook. So let's see the first option. The ones who have shared their answers, it's absolutely correct. Very good. Let's discuss the answers. Because she had given birth to a daughter, before giving birth to a daughter, she was not treated very well. She was treated very badly. So this is out of the question. This is not a correct option. Now let's see option B. Because she was regularly ill. It was not since the beginning. In fact, the answer of this question is written straight in the beginning. He, an undersecretary in the civil service, thought he had married beneath his position and treated Ma with the contempt he felt she deserved. An opinion shared by the rest of his family as well. So this is very clearly written in the beginning. So the correct option is C, because he felt he had married beneath his position. D, because she was not a good cook. Again, this is something which is out, which is not mentioned in the passage. So it's a completely irrelevant option. The correct answer is C, because he felt he had married beneath his position. Very good. A lot of you got it correct. Now let's do the second question. Which of the following can be inferred as the reason why the author's father's family was happy to let Masi take the author away? Because the child was a girl, ugly, small and weak. Because the child was noisy and troublesome. Because the child was born at an inauspicious time. Because the child was undernourished and weak. So let's, let me check. Very good. Excellent students. Whoever have sent the answers, it's absolutely correct. Now let me explain you something. So the first option, let's see the B and C option. Because the child was noisy and troublesome, this is something which is not mentioned in the passage at all. So we are going to completely eliminate this option. Second, because the child was born at the inauspicious time, the timing of the child when she was brought into the world is not mentioned in the passage. So B and C options are completely out of the passage. So they are wrong. There is nothing, there is no doubt about it. They are completely wrong options. Now let's focus on two options, A and C. Both the options are very closely related. Okay, both the options are extremely closely related. A lot of students will easily get confused कि पता नहीं A है या D है, because दोनों ही they are partially correct. But the closest answer which is correct is A, because the child was a girl, because it is specifically written in the passage, because as soon as the paternal family of the author knew that she gave birth to a girl child, they stopped visiting the hospital. Ugly, small, weak, definitely are the adjectives which are added to it. But as she was a girl child, the author's father's family was very happy that her Masi just took her away. So option D will not be the correct answer, because the child was undernourished and weak. The girl, gender of the child, it's specifically mentioned that they stopped visiting the hospital when they learned that she gave birth to a girl. So option A will be the correct answer. All right. The next is, what does the word adamant as used in the passage mean? First, easily swayed by others' opinion. B, frightened and scared. C, hardworking and tough. D, refusing to be persuaded to change one's mind. So that is why I'm telling you it's important to have a good vocabulary, because you may be asked meaning of the passage or the closest meaning of the passage of a particular word. So what does the word adamant means? In reference to, let's see where this word is. The village doctor shook his head sadly on looking at me, but Masi was as adamant as her sister had been. Adamant is somebody who you cannot change someone's mind, who is very strong-headed, firm-headed, who is not just get swayed by others. So easily swayed by others' opinion is a wrong option. Frightened and scared is again wrong. Hardworking and tough is again wrong. It's not the correct answer. Refusing to be persuaded to change one's mind. Yes, D is the correct option. The word adamant means person who is extremely firm-headed, strong-headed, and you cannot change his opinion easily. So a lot of you have given a correct answer of this question also. Excellent. Now let's do the fourth passage. Based on the information set out in the passage, which of the following is most accurate? Let's see. A, Masi and AG were careless and neglectful in bringing up the author. Masi and AG put a lot of pressure on the author to study medicine. C, Masi and AG put in a lot of effort and love in raising the author. D. Masi and AG were forced to take care of the author against their wishes. Let me see what answers you have shared. Excellent, children, excellent. A lot of you have written the correct answers. Very good. Now let me explain it to you. Yes. Masi and Aji were careless and neglectful in bringing up the author. Completely wrong. So this is out of the question. There is no explanation is required. It's a completely wrong option. We'll eliminate it. Masi and Aji put a lot of pressure on the author to study medicine. So why she studied medicine? She loved studying medicine. This is not given in the passage. It's just given that she was 25 and she has completed her post-graduation in medicine. So this is something which is irrelevant, which is not in the passage. So even B option is incorrect. Now the C1, Masi and AG put in a lot of effort and love in raising the author. So this line is being written 1,000 times in the passage, that they have given a lot of their love and they have put a lot of effort. In fact, when the village doctor was also not very hopeful with the condition of the child. But because of Masi's courage and AG's determination, they just took care of the author very nicely. So option C is the correct answer. It's an absolutely correct answer. We'll read the D option also. Masi and AG were forced to take care of the author against their wishes. This is something which is not mentioned in the passage. It is not written in the passage. So we are going to eliminate this option. This is a completely wrong option. Okay. Which of the following best sums up the author's main point in the passage above? So which is the thing which is the point which sums up the main point? Women should not marry above their position in life, as their husband would neglect them. Masi and AG brought up the author with love and determination against all odds and despite her father's family rejecting her. Masi and AG were experts in bringing up children and were medically qualified to treat children's illness. The author is taller than Masi because of the genes she inherited from her father. So students, some options are really funny. So now let's see the C and D1. The D1, let's see the D1 first. The author is taller than Masi because of the genes she inherited from her father. My God, this is completely out of question. This is a completely wrong answer. Why she's tall or why she's short, it is not mentioned in the passage. We are going to completely eliminate it. Masi and AG were experts in bringing up children and were medically qualified to treat children illness. There is no such thing written in the passage. Even this is completely wrong. B point, Masi and AG brought up the author with love and determination against all odds and despite her father's family rejecting her. Yes, this is the correct answer. Because they were so certain, they were so courageous, they were so determined, they brought up the girl very nicely against all odds. Everything was against them. The narrator's father's family has completely rejected her, but because of their courage and determination, they had brought up the author so well. So option B is the correct answer. A lot of you have got it correct. Very good. Option B is the correct answer. A option, women should not marry above their position in life as their husbands would neglect them. This is something which is not the main idea of the passage, and it's not everywhere. So option A is completely wrong. This is not the essence. The essence is against all odds. They were able to give their love and determination to that little girl child. Okay. Now, this comes to an end of our reading comprehension passage. Now, we are going to do some common idiom and phrases which will help you, because you can get them anywhere. You get grammar also sometimes in between the passages only, or in between the passages, you can get some phrases which, if you don't know the meaning, you'll get stuck. So it's very beneficial for both CLAT and SEBI students. Let's do it. There is a word, there is an idiom and phrase, there is a prepositional phrase with its meaning and sentence. The first is go by. The meaning of go by is to judge something. Sentence, you cannot always go by appearances. That means you cannot always judge by appearance. It's often said, you cannot judge a book by its cover. So you cannot judge somebody by their appearance. Go by, the another meaning of go by is guided. So in this case, if you're getting it in the passage or somewhere, you need to read it that in what context it is being said. Okay. Sentence, it is a good rule to go by, means it is a good rule to follow. Go into, the meaning of go into is to examine something. Sentence, the police decided to go into the matter. So the police decided to investigate, examine the matter. Okay. Go down means believe, to have believe in something. Sentence, the story won't go down, means the story will not be believed. This is an unbelievable story. Nobody will believe that story. Went off well means something which went off well. We have said my annual day function went off well, means it was successful. The function went off well. This is a very common phrase. I'm sure everybody must have heard it and used it also at some point in your life. Went over means examine. Same meaning. The accountant went over the balance sheet. So the accountant was looking into, examined the balance sheet. Gone through. The meaning of gone through is to suffer. Sentence, the poor woman has gone through a lot. I have gone through a lot. So it means suffer. Gone through means to suffer. Held out means to defend. Sentence, the rebels held out for a month. So the rebels were defending for a month. Hold out means when you are giving something to somebody, she held out her hand to him. So she gave her hand to him. Easy. Held up means you're stopping somebody, stopped and robbed. They were held up by thieves. So they were stopped and robbed by thieves. Held over. Meaning of held over is to postpone something. Sentence, examination was held over this time. So we can see a lot of examinations were held over because of this COVID scenario. So held over means postponed. Kept in. Kept in means confined after school hours. Few students were kept in, means few students were confined after school hours. They were told to stay at the school for some time. Kept up means to carry on. They kept up a long conversation. So they were continuing with it. They carried on their long conversation. Kept up. There is another meaning of kept up, which is maintained. Little quarrels are kept up by those who have nothing else to do. So little quarrels are maintained or are remembered by those who have nothing else to do. So people who have nothing, people who are free, they only just remember these little quarrels. Keep up means to maintain something. He's trying his best to keep up the reputation of his family. So he's trying his level best so that he can maintain the reputation of his family. Okay, the next is knocked about. Knocked about means wandered about. He knocked about the world a bit. So ghumne jana, just go where you feel like, is knocked about. He knocked about the world a bit. So he had wandered around the world a bit. Knocked down means sold at an auction, something which was being sold. The almirah was knocked down for 1,000 rupees. So the almirah was sold for 1,000 rupees. Knocked up is something exhausted, something which was exhausted or exhausting. Sentence, I was completely knocked up after my sister's wedding. So after my sister's wedding, I was completely tired. I was completely exhausted. Now we are going to do some exercise. It's a very small exercise, just 3-4 questions. Let's see. A clever lawyer can knock dash 4,000 yuan in a good year. If you see the technical meaning, it means a clever lawyer can dash, means earn. So something which, the meaning of which is earn. What is the meaning of knock off? Knock off means to stop working, some things which just stopped working. Second is knock out. Knock out is, we have just done to sell, distribute. Okay. Knock down is, it has got a lot of meanings. Knock down is when you earn something or something is demolished then also we use the word knock down. When somebody is hit or injured, then also we use knock down. So in this case, knock down means earn. A clever lawyer can knock down 4,000 yuan in a good year. Knockabout is just to beat somebody. That is the meaning of knockabout. So you need to know the meaning so that you can easily fill in these blanks if being asked. She found the course hard, but she kept dash it and completed it successfully. What is kept around? Keep something near you. Okay, keep something near you, which is not the correct answer. Kept at is you are continuing with something no matter how difficult it is. So in this sentence, she found the course hard. So the course was very hard for her, but still, no matter how hard the course was, she kept on doing it. She continued to do it and she completed it successfully. So kept at is the correct answer. Kept from, you have heard of this phrase a lot of times. Kept from is when you refrain from something or you control yourself from doing something, that is kept from. Okay, kept off when you don't like to talk about something, that is kept off. Okay, the third and fourth sentences, lack of funding held dash the project. Held back means to prevent something from do the progress. Okay, to prevent something from proceeding further. You're keeping something जिसको आप रोक रहे हो प्रोग्रेस होने से. Hold against या held against का meaning है when you have a grudge, when you have a fight against someone, when you have a grudge against someone. Held together, you're not breaking up, it's completely together, held together. Hold on means wait. You say, na, hold on for a second. Hold on means wait or to hold tightly. So the correct answer is A. Held back means prevent something from moving forward. Because of lack of funding, because of lack of money, the project was prevented. The project wasn't able to get a lot of progress. His partner laid dash him when he arrived 2 hours late. Laid down, you have often heard the constitution, a lot of our government has laid down a lot of principles regarding the COVID-19 vaccine and everything. Laid down means a set of rules. When you establish a set of rules or principles, that is laid down. Second is he laid on. Laid on is organize something or you're providing supply. That is laid on. Laid out. What is laid out? To spend money. And the last option is laid into, means to criticize someone. So his partner laid dash him when he arrived 2 hours late. जब वो 2 घंटे लेट आया तो his partner laid into means criticized him angrily because he was late for 2 hours. Okay, and now the last one is the low quality of the service made dash a lot of dissatisfaction. The low quality of the service made over. Made over is generally, you have heard of it, to legally make something owner of something. So when you just hand over or you made over somebody else, the director, or you give position to somebody, that is made over. Made up or make up is when you form something or you invent something, and make up, we all know the use of cosmetics, that is make up or made up. Made for is you are heading for into a particular direction or result into something, and you're moving into a particular direction, that is made for. Made after is something to chase. When you're chasing something, that is made after. So the correct answer is C. The low quality of the service made for means resulted a lot of dissatisfaction. Because of the low quality service, a lot of people were dissatisfied. Thank you everybody for today's session. I had a lovely time. Next week, we'll meet for another important session. Thank you everybody.